Alabama's recruiting weekend already paying dividends, and they get a signal caller and a quarterback with dynamic championship experience, flipping from SMU to Alabama, Keelon Russell. Alabama also in hot pursuit of another four-star, a safety known as Batman. That'd be a good one to get right there with Dottam, Batman. And how about a pair of wide receivers that could potentially come to Tuscaloosa? Well, Kalen DeBoer offered those guys from Utah scholarships. We're going to talk about that, where Alabama ranks in the FPI Championship Odds in college football. It's not so bad. And also, we're going to talk with our friend Big Sexy Elmo about what's going on today. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Brought to you by our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Let's get this thing going, guys. I know you're ready for some action. Here's your invitation. Like, subscribe, share, and roll Tide. What do you say, everybody? There he is. Big smile on his face. Look at him in there. That's Big Sexy Elmo. You guys know him as Brett Elmore from the Brett Elmore radio show in Jasper and Walker County. I'm just broadcaster Mick, a guy that likes to hang out with someone that has a great sense of humor and brings a lot of energy and humor to the airwaves.
And that's all I bring. That's all I have for today. That's all, everybody.
Well, they're not laughing in Dallas right now, not at SMU, right? They just lost their big quarterback commit. They were building their class around Keelon Russell, and Alabama, after a huge weekend in Tuscaloosa, his family got the opportunity to hang out with Coach DeBoer and his staff, Nick Sheridan. I love when Alabama goes out and recruits winners. Keelon Russell coming to Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide. It's going to help his brand, and it's going to help Alabama win football games.
Yeah, he announced that yesterday afternoon. And Mick, I told you Friday or Saturday, whichever show it was, rewind it back in the old VCR. I said that we would be getting a commitment very, very soon out of this weekend. And here it was 2 days later, the big flip. Keelon Russell flips to Alabama. That was just a great guess on my part, but I nailed it. But hey, after the visit though, it went really, really well. And his dad was even like, "Hey, Alabama's on the top of the list." I don't know why his dad maybe said that. I don't know. I just have a feeling that things went well.
Yeah, and that's what Andrew Bone tells us. And if Bone tells us that, then obviously that's what has happened here. So we're not surprised at all. This guy's been in a lot of big games in Duncanville. They win a bunch of championships. He's going to slot right into the next guy at Alabama. You know, can throw the ball, can run the ball, knows how to play at the elite level. Kalen DeBoer really liked him. His staff went after this guy. They zeroed in on him, and they got another really good player. This recruiting has not slowed up at all with Kalen DeBoer taking over at Alabama. I know the games are going to be the next big thing. You know, what's going to happen in the games? You know, how's he going to manage the games? But we were worried about recruiting because some of you guys said, well, Brian Harsin couldn't recruit. Well, guess what? He's not Brian Harsin.
Yeah, I was out and about over the weekend, and I ran into someone who was talking about Alabama football, and he says, how do you think we're going to do this year? And I said, I think we're going to be just fine. He said, do you really? And I said, yeah. He said, I just don't like these West Coast hires, and you're going to have to get that out of your mind,
Yeah, right.
Because I know exactly what he was thinking was number one, Brian Harsin, and number two, the West Coast has been, my dad used to call it sissy ball. And for the most part, he was right because we would smash them every time we'd play them. But this was a great hire, and you're right. He hit the ground running as soon as the plane landed in Tuscaloosa, and he's been recruiting nonstop ever since. This is a guy we haven't seen coach on the field yet. I say that a lot. We haven't seen him coach a down of Alabama football yet, but I like the way things are trending.
SMU, Ole Miss, Florida, Oregon, TCU, Texas A&M, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Duke, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Purdue, go down the list. California, Vanderbilt, Memphis. I mean, this guy's got offers from a ton of different schools, but his style, what he brings to the table, the fact that he's electrifying, really attracted Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer to him. You love going out and getting a quarterback. Doesn't mean that it's the only quarterback you're going to get in the class, but this is a big-time player and someone that they feel like can bring that winning way to Alabama, 6'3", and 185 pounds. And of course, he's 2025. So that would be the next recruiting class. And I'm excited about this, man. I think it just shows the power that these guys have when they bring people to Tuscaloosa and they get them in front of the staff, how people feel like, players feel like they really fit in with these guys. But that's not all, Brett. That's not all. Remember?
The thing about Russell is you did mention it's the next recruiting cycle. You'll have some time to grow a little bit, but and also this guy's a winner, like you mentioned. I think he won back-to-back state championships.
Yeah.
But what the thing I was going to mention was, could you imagine being in the staff meeting at Vanderbilt when they say we're going to offer this guy? What's the chances of him going to Vanderbilt? When you're naming out that list, I was thinking some of these schools. I was like, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, you just throw it in there, right? Maybe he decides he wants to come and lose every game in front of no fans.
I don't know if he would have probably taken an unofficial visit there. I don't know.
I look at Vanderbilt and I say that their time in the SEC, if they don't clean up their act, they need to get out. It's just not the same SEC that it was. I know they're a charter member, but if they don't get into this and start spending money on football and make their football team competitive, take advantage of one of the great cities, best city in the entire SEC. I mean, talking about Nashville, ton of money, love that place. But they spend their money on other stuff. They're not vested in it. They're not serious about it. And if they're not, there's other schools right now like Florida State, like Clemson, like Miami, like North Carolina, all those ACC schools that would love to come to the SEC and take football seriously and make the conference better. Anyway, how about this? You are a big Batman fan. I know it's one of your favorite characters. And another 2025 4-star is safety Rylon Dillard-Allen, a.k.a. Batman. He gave his final 4 list, and guess who's right on that list, Brett?
Vanderbilt.
Robin. No, it was Robin.
Oh, Robin. Yeah. Alabama,
Alabama, yeah.
Alabama, of course. And who else you got on there? Alabama, Texas A&M, UCLA, and Washington. Is that right?
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, you look at a guy from, out in Arizona. We've talked about him before. He's familiar with the coaching staff from their days in Washington. And you know what? I love a nickname of Batman. I mean, does that mean you shoot, you throw your thing and knock the ball into your hands? Do you glide? Do you have a cape? Great nickname.
Yeah. Great nickname. Now, last weekend he was at UCLA, and apparently UCLA, the West Coast teams apparently, according to some of the experts, have the edge. UCLA and Washington.
Well, Arizona State too, right? Everybody thought he was going to Arizona State. Oh, he's not on the list.
Yeah, really. That surprise. But this guy recorded 43 tackles, 2 pass breakups. Had a couple of interceptions, returned one of those for a touchdown last season. And also he runs a 100-yard dash in 10.8. Jeez.
Yeah, that's fast.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, I love the idea of the way that this coaching staff is just battling so hard for recruits and going after guys, and the kids that they're recruiting become recruiters for the program because they want to win. They want to keep the Bama standard alive.
Yeah.
And the way that you do that is you go out and you get the best of the best. And so that's what we're seeing. I mean, the Keelon Russell flip isn't a big surprise. We kind of saw this coming, but the weekend in Tuscaloosa solidified it. And now, you're looking at the same thing here. Can you bring in more talent? Can you get more guys to come in and commit to being part of this football program? And Batman would certainly be one of those guys that I'd love to see. Now, what about if you ever had the opportunity to recruit two guys in one home? How about this? Twins, Jaron and Kennan Pula. Can you imagine that? Like having both, hey, you both get scholarships. Kalen DeBoer delivered these himself.
You get a scholarship. You get a scholarship. They're from Provo, Utah. And Jaron has the distinct honor of weighing 10 pounds more, being an inch less than his brother.
How about that?
Kenan is 6'2". Jaron is 6'1", but I think it's Keenan's hair that's probably got him the extra.
They do have great hair.
They have great hair. If we're going
what's that guy on wrestling? What's the guy on wrestling that had that hair? He used to have the apple he would walk around with.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was though. I know you're talking about though. I can see him.
Anyway,
a couple of receivers, and I guess this is a package deal, right? You take one, you got to take the other. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
They're both 3 stars.
Well, 4 stars. They've built the 4 stars in some of the publications.
Okay, all right. Well, very good. Okay, well, they're both 4 stars.
Carlito.
Yeah. There you
on
go.
On WWE, the apple. Okay. But I mean, what is this? This is something that you rarely see. Rivals has Kenan as a 4-star, and then On3 has him as a 4-star, and Jaron is a 4-star according to On3. When they do the composite rankings and all of that stuff, but they're fighting with UCLA to get these guys. And if there's any indicator of how good that it would be to play at UCLA, is that their coach left to go take an offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. So your head coach, that's what happens at schools like South Alabama. You got a good head coach. Hey, I'm going to go be a defensive coordinator somewhere. They're quality program, but they're just not with today's day and age, able to compete with the dollars and cents of the big time guys. And I feel like you get an opportunity to with your brother to come to Alabama, catch some passes. Hey man, take Kalen DeBoer up on it. I mean, he's the former wide receiver.
He must know what he's talking about. I mean, but everyone that has offered these guys, they've offered them both. So apparently they're a package deal. You're going to take one, or you're not. You're taking both, or you're not taking any of them.
Yeah,
but this is really cool, man. I would love to see them on the field together. I wonder what. Of course, this would be a trivia question here. When's the last time you had twins on the Bama team?
Well, the funny thing is that I'm looking at On3 right now. They got Kenan 35.1% to go to UCLA and 30.7% to go to Alabama. So UCLA a slight favorite. I don't know why that On3 has Jaron at 36.5% to go to UCLA and 32% to go to Alabama.
Well, what a dummy I am. The Bronkermeyer twins, the Bronkermeyer twins were the last, right?
Yeah. Then you know how that ended.
That didn't end very well. But other than that,
they were one. Tommy was a 5-star.
Yeah. But anyway, it would be interesting to have them on the team, and we'll see if they make the cut.
I love that when Kalen DeBoer is your coach, it's going to be like Nick Saban dealing with the secondary. You know what I mean? Where you just, you know, your head coach is a guy that really cares and is passionate about your position. You know, you're going to want to have those guys.
Booby trap, may I help you?
Yeah, you're going to.
Who's calling me at this hour?
You're going to want to have those guys on your team. All right. Let me throw this up now, Brett. ESPN put out a bunch of odds, right? And this was their top teams by 2024 FPI National Championship Odds, right? So here's your championship odds. Came out a couple days ago. They got Georgia. How about Oregon number 2? Texas number 3. I'm surprised Ohio State isn't higher, to be honest with you, after all the money they spent in the offseason. But there's Bama at number 5. So, you know, that's respectable to me, trying to figure out who what the new head coach is going to be able to accomplish and not accomplish. But Notre Dame's in that mix. Penn State, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Missouri, Michigan, Clemson, UCLA, Kansas. I mean, how about Kansas? I mean, can you imagine if they won the national championship? That's your top 15. Big drop off though after Alabama.
Yeah, but Alabama with projected wins at 9. It's funny how they put them at 5th ahead of a 10-win Penn State and a 10-win Notre Dame.
Well, it's because their strength of schedule is going to be really hot. I mean, you're talking about probably like a top 6 strength of schedule, depending on what you're looking at. It's going to be a really difficult schedule, and I don't think losses are going to be weighed as heavily anymore as they used to be because you're playing such a difficult schedule now.
Yeah. If you had to take the over/under, would you take what would you take on Alabama? It says 9.3. That's stupid.
Man, I just can't. I think they're going to win a lot of games. I think that the offensive line is now starting to. You look at it on paper. You look at the fact that Proctor came in, adding Brailsford, a coaching staff that is known for offense. We're not going to have the issues with the bad snaps this year, with the missed blocking assignments. I think we're going to be physical, running the football with Justice and Richard Young and you know whoever else will emerge because somebody always seems to be that third guy. I think that our receivers are going to catch the ball. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I'm worried about the secondary. I know you guys make jokes about that on the message board, but I think that Alabama will be able to outscore teams until the secondary gets it figured out. And I just can't imagine them losing, not winning over 9 games. So I guess 9 games is pretty much what they're saying, right? They figure 9 games.
Yeah, but
I think they're going to be all right. Look, I think they're going to be all right. I don't think there's going to be any. I think this team's going to get better as the season goes on. And I know there's going to be a learning curve for Kalen DeBoer, but the guy's won everywhere he's ever been. Why is it going to stop now? All of a sudden, he's going to have more talent than he's ever had anywhere he's ever been, and he's going to be like, well, I can't win football games. So I'd say I'd take the over. And I mean that. I'm not saying that as an Alabama fan. I'm just saying like –
No, I know. I would take the over too, just as a bet if I was a betting man. Could you put that back up? Is it back? Can you still put that back up? Where's Ole Miss on this? They're not even on there, huh?
That's weird.
Okay, now that's another one that I was thinking about because it so you've got I don't like this list. You got Missouri over Ole Miss?
I think Missouri is so overrated right now.
I like Missouri. I really do. I like Missouri.
I don't. And you're right. Where is Ole Miss? I mean, you'd have to put them ahead of some of these other schools, right?
You would think so. So they're basically saying that Ole Miss is going to win less than 7 games if you're putting LSU up there at 7.8.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I don't like this list. And the whole Ohio State thing, I think they need to be higher.
Well, Ohio State went out and they paid all that money for players, you know?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, that is, you know what? You make a good point. The Ole Miss being off the list is surprising to me.
Yeah, that surprises me, but who knows? Because Ole Miss is being really highly regarded.
Well, let me say this. FPI is a power rating that tracks each team's strength relative to an average FBS squad. Teams are rated on offense, defense, and special teams with the values representing points per game. So basically what they're saying is Georgia's ranked as nearly 27 points per game better than the average team. So that, I guess that's why. But I mean, I don't, until Ole Miss goes out there and dominates teams though, that are, and it's like, we know they're going to be better. They went out and they spent money. They went out and they got guys in the transfer portal. Lane Kiffin's done a good job recruiting. He's a good offensive coach. And we expect that they're going to be there, but maybe not by an average of 27 points per game. And I think Alabama's got to get back to dominating. That's the one thing I want to see DeBoer do, not just win games, but dominate. It just felt like last year that Alabama was slipping. There were too many games like South Florida, like Ole Miss. You're way better than Ole Miss last year. Georgia did exactly what Alabama should have done to Ole Miss, and we did it in the second half of the game, right? Arkansas should have blown them out, let them hang around. It turned into a close game. It's time to button up those things, and we'll see what happens. It's
time to step on their necks and put them away.
That's exactly right. Well, look, Brett, this is the time of the show where I tell everyone that we appreciate them hanging out with us and that we're brought to you by our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Choctaw, Mississippi, Philadelphia, where we've got Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. You bet $50 in the sports book and you get to play Dancing Rabbit for $40. That is a heck of a deal because Dancing Rabbit is the Augusta that you can play. And if you like golf, it's a short trip from Tuscaloosa or Birmingham. They got the Vegas-style sports book with all the games, a really cool bar and setup with like 20 TVs, everything on in there. Table games and slots, which I know you're a big fan of, Brett. You got music acts that are coming into town that include Boys to Men, Big and Rich. Gretchen Wilson's going to be with them. Brian McKnight, Rodney Carrington, the comedian, is going to be there. And then don't forget that you got the water park as well as the spa. So find out for yourself at pearlriverresort.com. Now, when we come back, Brett takes over the show, so don't go anywhere.
River Resort. They call him Big Sexy. Coming at you from the Walker County. Jasper is his hometown. He's known for giving free rundowns. Oh, Big Sexy. Throwing out those Alabama thoughts. Sneaking out your mom's window without getting caught. It gives you the XP, but Big Elmo is here to please. Big Sexy Elmo on the Bama Tailgate Show.
Yes, indeed. It is the 5th day of June. The 5th of June. And let's take a look at this day in history. First of all, the celebrity birthdays today. Mark Wahlberg is 53 today.
Do you like that show Wahlburgers? The one where they have the hamburger shop?
I've never seen it, no.
I like it. It's not something I watch all the time, but when I do watch it, I love it. It's like they have like basically it's just like a smash burger place, and he hangs, and I think his wife's Jenny McCarthy. He's a former member of Boys to Men. No. Backstreet Boys. But his brother, Mark Wahlberg, was like, wasn't in the band, but he turned out to be like not only a huge actor, but like, I mean, like a guy that like makes careers. Like he owns a production company and he does a lot of other stuff. So I like the Wahlburgers.
You also like Kenny G. He is 69 today.
Yeah, how cool do you have to be? Well, or how good do you have to be playing the saxophone to have your songs play on regular radio, right? With no, with no words. Like, and it's just like sitting there. It's like, oh man, like I'm waiting for the words, but then you're like, well, maybe I'm not waiting for the words. Like
smooth jazz.
Yeah, like how did that get on regular radio? But it got there.
But it got there. Guess who else is celebrating a birthday today? A guy that we've been talking about, Brian McKnight.
Yeah, Brian, happy birthday. We're going to see him at Pearl River Resort. I thought you were going to say Fred Sanford. Because we both love Red Fox, the late great Red Fox. But Brian McKnight, we're going to, we got an opportunity to see him in concert. You're going to have some tickets to give away on WJLX. We'll give some away on here as well. So we're going to start moving to get that done here soon, so that you guys can swing over and take advantage of the fact that we've got a great partner.
Yeah, Brian McKnight is 56 today. Looking for something to celebrate today? Hot air balloon day.
I've never been in one. Never even really thought about getting in one. They are cool. I mean, I do like looking at them.
Yeah, I do too.
They're, but I don't know. I don't know if that's something that'll ever be accomplished in my lifetime.
Today is also Love Island Day.
I love islands. Look, you know that. I mean, I'm ready to move to the island of Key West.
Right. I'm just wondering if it's loving an island or if there's like Love Island, like
like the love boat. What was Paradise Island? No, what was it called?
There's been so many of them, Mick, I can't keep up with them.
Yeah, right.
But it's like here's the perfect scenario. Since I'm a bachelor, there's this remote island and it's filled with women, and they drop me off in a helicopter, and all the ladies have to hold it, ladies. There's enough to go around. And they've been out there for like 2 years, and they're just waiting on Big Elbow.
Big Elmo.
Today is Sausage Roll Day.
Look, if it's a Conecuh sausage roll, I'm in, man. I mean, I love some Conecuh sausage.
Today in history, 1956, the world just went absolutely nuts. They didn't know it was an uproar, Mick. Elvis Presley appeared on the Milton Berle Show, and his hip swiveling performance of his new hit Hound Dog caused a national uproar.
Just had our friend David Lee, who's a guy that might be watching the show right now. He's one of the greatest Elvis tribute artists ever, right? He won the Ultimate Elvis, and I want to say like 2015 maybe, or 17, somewhere in there. But he's still doing it. Like 30 years the guy has been going around and performing Elvis, and he does it, and it's electrifying. I can't imagine what it would have been like to see Elvis himself do it. And that was before Elvis was really the Elvis that we remember. I mean, that was before, the eagle and the white cape and the black, leather suit and, the Christmas albums and stuff.
Right.
He really changed the music industry, and Elvis is still cool, man. There's people that still absolutely love Elvis, and he's been dead since 78.
Yeah, I had a very, very rare recording of a friend of mine who did radio here in Jasper for many, many years. So that was Charlie Watts. And he got his career started in Tupelo. And I had, he still had a reel-to-reel of him interviewing Elvis, his mother and father, and a movie actor that I can't recall the name, at the state fair that you always see the pictures of.
Yeah, in Louisiana.
Home.
Yeah.
No, in Tupelo. When he came home, like in 50, I want to say this was 57 or 58. But anyway, I have that, and I converted it to digital for him, and God bless his soul, he passed away, but I still have that, and it's a really cool piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, we should play that at some point. It'd be cool to do like an Elvis show, play that, and play some music. Look, I'm inundated by Elvis at home and on the road, and and going to Vegas to see Dead and Company, and David has even offered to lend me one of his many Elvis outfits to go out there. Could you imagine that?
What?
Yeah. To the Dead show dressed like Elvis. All right.
That would be so cool. 1968, Senator Robert Kennedy is shot and killed in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California, shortly after winning the Democratic primary in California. And another really cool story, Mick. I went to the Ambassador Hotel in about it was either 99 or 2000. No, let me correct myself. It was about 2001 or 2. Anyway, it was early 2000s, and I went with a friend out there to he was going to be an extra in a music video for a band, and they were filming at the Ambassador Hotel, which had been vacant for a long time, but they shot a lot of movies and music videos and stuff in there. And that was a very creepy place. It was still decorated like it was back in the day. I mean, there was a lot of feral cats that were running wild throughout the building. That was weird. But we had just full. We could do whatever we wanted to inside the building. So there was several of us that wasn't a part of the filming. So we went and looked around. So we went through the kitchen where Robert Kennedy was shot.
Yeah, it's sad. His son's running for president.
Yep.
And I've enjoyed listening to him talk. And
yeah.
And I like as many different voices as we can get in politics. I think we need that right now. And stay open-minded and listen to what people think. Never dismiss anybody. His dad and his uncle were both assassinated trying to serve our country. And that's about as bad as it gets. Can you imagine your dad being shot by someone, and in the middle of doing something that is pretty patriotic? When you serve your government, it's gotten to the point now where I wouldn't want to do it. And then I guess it was, obviously it cost him his life. So yeah, that's crazy.
Really. 1999, my heart got broken. My crush, actress Reese Witherspoon, was married to Ryan Felipe or whatever his name is. And anyway, they later divorced, which was a great day for me.
That's how Hollywood is. You get married, you have a big wedding, you put it in everybody's face, you're happy, everything's great. And then like 3 years later, you're single again.
And a couple more things on the list. This, of course, we all remember this. 2002, 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her Salt Lake City home. Smart was found 9 months later in a suburb of the Utah City with a homeless street preacher who had once worked in the Smart's home and his wife.
Yeah, that's scary. And it's a parent's worst nightmare,
Yes. And for them to find her like that.
I know a lot of parents don't find their kids. And that's
right.
The shame of it. That's the scary part too.
And finally, a great, you're talking about politics, a great American, I don't care what party you favor or whatever. 2004, former President Ronald Reagan passed away at the age of 93.
Yeah, I loved Reagan. I know some of you guys didn't. I don't care. I did love him. My grandparents used to make me watch his speeches. I grew up with my grandparents. And, he would come on and, when the space shuttle blew up, we were all horrified. And he gave one of the greatest speeches of all times. Him and Tip O'Neill, they always talk about that. He was like the head of the Democratic Party, but they had a good relationship outside of politics. And what I'll tell you, what I really like about him is that I've spent a big portion of my life calling baseball, Cubs baseball. He was a Cubs broadcaster. He broadcasted Cubs games as Dutch Reagan back in Iowa before he went to Hollywood. And then he went out to Hollywood. Yeah. And while he was out there on the West Coast for a baseball game and got hooked up with acting, and then that kind of, changed his career into that. He was a movie actor, the Gipper. And I just remember, we used to watch him, and he'd be on, there's only 3 channels back then. So, he'd come on and give a speech, and it'd be like from the Rose Garden, and I'd have to watch it.
You were talking about Tip O'Neill. That's something that, it would be nice to see in this country again. And I don't want to get involved.
We're so far past that. I mean, we can't
when
can't
you
even disagree on anything without somebody getting mad. You say something, and it's like, hey, if they even think that you're talking about one of these politicians, they get mad at you. That's the problem.
They used to get together and they would work things out and everything would be fine,
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're going to jail and we're going to get your son. All right.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
great
this is great.
All right. Is that it? Now that everybody hates us? Roll time.